All right, let's go ahead and get started. So the final assignment for this class is the magazine design. You should have been working on the proposal already. And then the mood board was the two things I assigned last week. Today I'm going to go over the different parts of the assignment, some design stuff, elements of the layout, just various things associated with the assignment today. I know it seems like a lot of parts of the assignment to work on, but once you create the cover and then the table of contents, I think the article is probably the easiest part because you don't have to type any of that. You're going to find an existing article unless there's something that you want to write on yourself, that's fine. But I'm not requiring you to type anything up. Use an existing article. And even some of the images from that article, if there's images associated with it, or if you don't like those images, you can, find other images. Okay, so again, the three parts of the magazine assignment is a cover, table of contents, and then the 3-page article. Okay, and let me publish all of these here. Okay. All right. So again, the mood board was like what we did for the brand identities assignment. It's just grabbing images, anything that you may want to use for your article, your table of contents, and your cover. Okay. So it could be, anything that interests you that's geared towards your magazine. And again, your magazine, the subject matter is entirely up to you. You can continue on with what you created your logo from, if you want to kind of do that. And that's what I'm going to do with my example that I'm going to work on. I'm going to continue with the coffee. But if you want to go in a completely different direction, that's fine with your magazine. So it can be any kind of subject matter. Okay, so let me check here. Yeah, so the proposal, if you haven't done that yet, go ahead and work on that. Make sure you get that done. The mood board. Okay. So principles of magazine design. Each of these principles carries equal weight in ensuring that you design the perfect magazine layout. And it applies to all 3 pieces that you're going to be designing. Purpose. Why should anyone care about your magazine? And how do you intend to communicate the message? Is it image-based or story-based? And the cover is always the first thing that people will see when they look at magazines on a shelf or at the grocery store next to the cash register or the checkout line or Barnes & Noble. So that's what's going to grab you first is the cover. It could be for entertainment or science, or could have a funny or formal tone. And again, that's depending on what type of magazine you're creating. Readability, regardless of the purpose of your magazine, you want to ensure you design readable magazine layouts. So you should have obviously interesting text. Somebody has picked up the magazine because they find something on the cover interesting. Or they'll read that magazine on a regular basis, but you want to maybe attract new readers to somebody that's never read your magazine. And again, that cover that you're going to design is what's going to grab them in first. And then hopefully they'll flip through the magazine and want to continue reading. But if your articles on the inside are not very well laid out, they may switch to they may put the magazine back. Okay. So you should pay attention to contrasting colors for the background and text, the right typography and font size, and images where needed. So if it's like a photography magazine, it's going to be more image-based. But if it's a cooking magazine or a travel magazine, it may be more text-based because you're trying to get trying to get somebody to travel to a new location or whatever it may be. Hierarchy, guide readers through the most important information and key takeaways by using different font sizes. Use bold fonts for headline and bylines and consistent fonts in the body copy. Also, bolden the part of the body text that you want your audience to notice to make it stand out from everything else. And then balance. Chaos is rarely beautiful when it comes to graphic design. You want to ensure that all the graphic design elements are evenly distributed on the cover, on the page, to avoid clutter. In this case, effective use of white space can help you maintain balance. So you may have in your head, okay, I want to include like 10 images, but is that going to clutter up the page and not be able to, have the text be prominent as well? So you have to kind of keep that balance in your mind when you're designing anything, but more so magazines, because there is that balance of text and images. And then I did find, while I was searching for stuff here earlier, I did find a website that has free magazines that you can download and view. So I added that link here. So if you're having a hard time coming up with ideas for layouts or magazine covers, there's a bunch of magazines here. There's a variety. There's People, there's travel magazines, fitness, whatever there may be. And they're recent magazines, and then it goes all the way to older magazines. There is links up here at the top that give you different categories. And then it also does newspapers. But if you're looking for, a specific kind of magazine, or just a magazine subject that you normally wouldn't view or, read, you can kind of get ideas on how other magazines design their layouts, okay? And you don't have to pay for anything here. They're all free magazines, okay? So any questions on that part of it? Like I said, it'll be quite a bit of information that I'm going to give you today, but it will carry us through for the next couple of weeks. Okay. So now that you've come up with your name of your magazine, you will begin creating the cover for your magazine. Magazine publishers, editors, and circulation directors know the importance of the cover image as both a newsstand impulse buy and as a brand. So if you think back to the brand identity, you want consistency with your logo. Same thing with magazines. Magazine covers tend to, from month to month, be pretty much the same, depending on what magazine it is. It'll always have the name of the magazine, cover headlines, and maybe just the photo changes out, just depending on what's going on. For travel, it might be different seasons. Celebrity magazines or women's magazines or fitness magazines tend to have an athlete or the celebrity that's popular at the time. But for the most part, it stays consistent. 80% of consumer magazines, newsstand sales are determined by what is shown on the cover, because that's the first thing you see. The cover image and design reinforce the brand, an important identification factor because the average reader spends only 3 to 5 seconds scanning the cover. And usually it's the image that grabs your attention, not necessarily the stories. That's secondary. Magazine covers not only offer information about what's inside a particular issue, but they provide a significant cultural cues about social, political, economic, and medical trends. So anything that's currently going on will usually show up on the magazines. The cover should follow the theme of the magazine. It should include several cover lines or blurbs, which are also included in your table of contents. So you have the cover, and then you replicate those same elements on the table of contents, but the table of contents also has a little bit more information than the cover does. A successful cover, magazine cover, will have a strong image with blurb lines or stories that grab the attention of somebody standing in front of a shelf at Barnes & Noble or the grocery store, wherever it may be. You want your magazine to stand out from everything else around it. So the key elements that are going to be on your cover is the nameplate and logo. Usually that's just text written out in some way. The example I have here is in Entertainment Weekly. A tagline, a headline or headlines, cover art, cover blurbs, the date, price information, and barcode. So you have the date line, and depending if it's a weekly magazine or a monthly magazine, Entertainment Weekly is a weekly magazine. So it'd have the month, day, and year on there. If it's a monthly magazine, it'll just have the month and the year. Then it also will have the issue number somewhere on there. Usually the weekly magazines have that more than the monthly does. Okay, so this is the masthead nameplate logo. The lead article, and the lead article usually corresponds with the image that's on the cover. Okay, and that's usually bigger. The lead article is usually bigger. A flash or a puff, and that's not required. It's just another element that some magazines have. Words or phrases on the cover used to boost the status. So this is referring to the Spider-Man movie, to grab your attention more to read that article. Main image, cover lines. So these are the other articles that are going to be in there that this particular editor at this time thought were more important, or the most important ones. Website link. Most magazines have a website now that direct you to, you can go read the stories more there, or more stories that didn't fit in the magazine. The barcode, price here, but the barcode is when you scan it, that's how it determines the price. Okay. So any questions on any of that part of the magazine? Okay, so some magazine covers don't have a lot on there. It's entirely up to you how much you want to put on there. If you want your cover to just have the image stand out and then a couple cover lines, that's fine. Here are the document setup for InDesign. You're going to be creating the 3 parts of the assignment in InDesign. And I'll go over again a couple things in InDesign while I'm creating my cover and stuff and the other parts. So your page size is 10 1/4 by 13. Number of pages 1, and this is when you're setting up the document. You're going to do each part of the magazine as separate documents. Columns, you're going to do 3 columns. Margins are going to be 1/4 inch all the way around. And then the bleed is 1/8 of an inch all the way around. As you can see on most magazine covers, the image goes all the way to the edge. There's no white space or anything around it. So that's why we're going to do the bleed on there. Okay, so any general questions about the magazine cover at this point? Okay. All right, and then the next part of it is the table of contents. And again, you can do this in any order that you want. You don't have to do the cover first. You can do the articles however you want to approach the assignment. So the table of contents of a magazine is where your readers can get an overview of the topics and can search for specific articles that appear on the cover. The table of contents should read like a map of the magazine, including departments, columns, feature articles, as well as the page numbers on which these items are located. So I had mentioned department sections. So if you are, let me bring up the Better Homes and Garden. I think it's in here. Okay, so this is a table of contents for Better Homes and Gardens. And right here are the section or department headers. So celebrate, if you're doing a party or something, shop, do. These are different things that you can do with floral arrangements, whatever it may be, and thrive. So these are the department or section headers or sections of the magazine. The table of contents should also include the masthead of the magazine. Table of contents should include the story blurbs that you have on the cover. And you can see on the Better Homes and Gardens here, they have a sentence telling you a little bit more about what the article is. So it can just be, you know, a brief explanation of what the article is. Not all magazines do that, but this will give you a little bit more practice with formatting text in different ways, because you can see the example here. They did a different font for the numbers, bolded the title, and then you have a different font or styling for the description of the assignment, or not the assignment, the article. Let me look here at Travel Leisure, see how they do theirs. Okay, they kind of do the same thing. Page number, name of the article, and then just a little description of what the article is about. And then this is their second page of the table of contents. You're only designing one page of a table of contents, but most magazines have multiple pages for their table of contents. And you can see there's images on the table of contents. Let's see what else here. And then they also have the photo. Right here is an information about the pictures above, what page those stories appear on. So you could do something like that, or just on the image itself, you can type the page number. And again, you're making this up as if you had a full magazine, that you were designing a full magazine. So you can make up the titles, make up the page numbers. This text here can just be repeated. So if you only have like 5 or 6 articles on the cover, I'm looking for how you design the type. You know, do a little bit different type layout or type treatment for each part of the table of contents entry. Okay, something like this. But again, you can create one block of text and then just repeat it and change the number, the page numbers. Okay, so you don't have to create separate ones for each of it. Okay, so does that make sense? Okay, so I'll go back over here. Okay, so again, table of contents should include the nameplate or the logo. a tagline. If the magazine, not all magazines have taglines. Like GQ has Gentleman's Quarterly, just explains what the, what the full name of the magazine is. The date, volume number, and issue number. So for example, May 2021, volume 10, issue 10. And all of that can be made up. A contents list. Each item should include a title, a caption, and a page number. Cover art credit line. So whatever image you use on the cover. So for this one, Travel and Leisure, here's the image that they used. And if I go to the table of contents, there is a line down here at the bottom that says on the cover, who took the picture, and then where that article appears in the magazine. So you don't necessarily have to have an explanation of, a caption for the image, at least have the who took the picture. If you don't know where the picture was taken, just make up a name, okay? Yeah.
And that should be on the
table of contents, yeah. Okay, so yeah, cover art credit line, that's what that is. Okay, and that should be on the table of contents. Images of other articles, and again, that's up to you how much you want to put on that table of contents. If you want it to be more text heavy, then you're going to add more text. If you're wanting it more image heavy, you're going to add images, or if you want a balance of both. Okay. And then the document setup, again, is 10 1/4 by 13. Number of pages 1. Columns, 6 columns. And again, the columns are just alignment purposes. You don't have to stuff things in one column. It can go across 2 columns, 3 columns, all 6 columns. But that's just helping you align things on the page. Your margins are 1/4 of an inch all the way around, and then your bleed is 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so any questions on the table of contents? Okay, and then anatomy of a magazine article. Okay, so 3 most important features to engage readers to stay on a spread: the layout, the main image, and your headline. So each of those are important, but how you choose to lay out your spread or your article is up to you. If you want your image to stand out and grab the attention of the reader, then that's going to be your most important or your focal point. Your headline, that can be secondary, but the layout itself is also important. Okay, so how your reader is going to navigate through the article, is the headline going to grab them and then push them into the image and then into the rest of the article? Or is it going to be the image and then they see the headline and then the rest of the text? So that's when you're doing your thumbnails. And I have some examples of layout thumbnails. When you're doing your thumbnails, try to do exploration of a couple different versions of it, where your headline is first and then your image, or just your overall layout. Most visible parts are outer upper sections on the spread. Use these to engage the reader. And if you think about when you open up a magazine, you usually see the left page first. Okay, So your most important stuff with your article should be on the left-hand side, and then push everything to the, push their eye to the right-hand side so that they continue through the article. Never think of a page individually, always design spreads as a whole, even if there is an ad on one side. So sometimes there will be ads that fall in the middle of an article, but the way we're doing this is it's a, even so it's a 3-page spread, 2 of the page or 3-page article, 2 of the pages are going to be together. Okay, and I'll show you when I get into InDesign how to set that up, and you determine how your layout's going to be for the article. Planning the viewing direction, usually top left to bottom right, but don't overcomplicate the flow, because if there's too much information going on one part, they may not continue, they get lost and not continue to the rest of the article. Okay. Usually simple is better because you want them to stay engaged in the article. But if they can't, if the reader can't determine where things go and what they should look at next, they probably are going to turn and go to another article. Okay, so principles of design. Here are a few things to consider for your magazine layout. Purpose, what's the purpose of the magazine or layout you are working on? Excuse me, is it image-based, story-based, formal, funny? Okay, and that goes back to the theme of your magazine. It should obviously pertain to the theme of your magazine, but is it a serious story? Is it, if it's travel, is it, you know, family vacations? Whatever it may be. Balance, make sure your content is evenly distributed over the page and spread. Don't put too much in one part. And that's why I said, if you're clustering everything on the left-hand side and very little on the right-hand side, they may not pay attention to the right-hand side because they don't think it might not necessarily be connected with the left-hand side. And then the thing about chaos, you want to make sure if it's the subject matter is like, say, a musician and they're kind of chaotic, then your layout's going to kind of, your images and stuff are going to represent that, but you don't want the layout of your article to be chaotic. You want it to make sense when somebody's looking at it. Hierarchy, do the right pieces of information stand out? Establish what is the most and least important information for a viewer and indicate the levels of priority visually. So your image, is that going to stand out more, or is your headline going to stand out more? And then when you get into the body copy, you want to kind of break that up too in sections. If you're talking about one thing and then it kind of changes halfway through, you're going to do like a headline that's going to separate those two sections. Okay. Let me see on here if there's an example. Okay, so for example, on here, it's talking about different places, and you can see it changes from, it has different headlines. So it's telling you which each part of that article is talking about. If there was no separation from here to here, you might not know what it's talking about, what it's referencing. Let's see. There's a little bit longer article. This one's full of advertising. Okay, so this one is all pretty much all about one thing. I'll do it so much in here. Okay, so here's another one. Well, that's an advertisement. But on this one here, they broke it up, each section, each text blocks, they broke it up with a number and then a headline, a little bit bolder text, and then the rest of the text. So you want to break things up so it doesn't like look like a blob of stuff, okay? Readability, is the text easy to read? Watch out for your point size and the font that you use. You want to use a sans serif font for your, I prefer sans serif fonts. Those are the ones that don't have the little feet on them. They're more rounded. I think it's easier to read, but most magazines and newspapers, they use a serif font for their text. But that's, you know, thinking of how, when you look at a magazine, how is it readable? How is it easy on your eyes for you? Which one do you prefer? Okay. But you can see this is a sans serif font here, and then they use a serif font. So you can use a combination of the two. Okay, so typography plays a crucial role in magazine design. An article that you design could include text in the form of a story, interview, opinion. So it's vital to make sure that the copy you use is easy to follow and understand. So point size, make sure the size of your text is readable for your audience, and consider if they will be looking at a page or a screen, because most magazines now are digital. So you're going to see stuff on the screen versus print. A lot of people still want to have the print magazine in their hand because they're used to that. So it's going to be a little bit different, print versus screen, but we're going to do this for print. So kind of think about you when you're reading a magazine, what's comfortable for you. The ideal line length is between 50 and 70 characters per line. Shorter lines will break too often, causing the reader's eye to jump back and forth way too often. So again, think of your own personal reading habits. How, you know, how much eye fatigue do you get depending on when you're reading something? Amount of copy, wherever possible, break up big blocks of copy. They can appear intimidating and might put readers off. Use paragraphs, columns, threaded text frames, lists, etc. So don't, you know, think of when you're writing a paper also, how you have to break up your columns depending when you change subject, you change a paragraph. So keep that in mind when you're designing the article as well. Entry points, define clear starting points for your reader by using visual hierarchy and features like drop caps, highlighted text blocks, usually used for quotes or interesting parts of an article. So usually just tabbing the first line will help give you that visual. I'll show you how to do the drop cap if you want to do that. And I think there was an example on one of the, yeah, this right here, this giant M, that's a drop cap. So we can take up a couple lines. They're using it more as of a artistic element. I think it's a little too big, but drop caps usually are like 2 or 3 lines that let you know that that's the first paragraph of the article. And then the rest of the articles here have a tab indent so you can know where the paragraph starts. Sometimes they'll have a bigger break in it and have another headline, so you know where the next section of the article starts. Okay, so does that makes sense? So you kind of, like I keep saying, think of your own reading habits when you're looking at something. Is it comfortable to your eyes? Is it comfortable? So it should be comfortable to others, but you have to also take into consideration people that wear glasses, older individuals that are having issues seeing. So those are things to take into consideration as well. Okay, and then this is just the parts of an article. I'm going to switch over here to this PDF, so it's a little bit easier for you to put a connection to the term and what you see on the page. Okay, and most of this is over on the Canvas page that I was just at, but this gives you a more visual representation of it. Okay, so you have your headline, you have your artwork, and then this whole thing here is a spread. So it's 2 pages that are together, okay, in a magazine. Excuse me. Then you have what's called a deck or a headline or a header. Is it a header? I'm just getting mixed up. A kicker, sorry. So this right here is usually a 1 or 2 lines that give you a little bit more information about what the article is about, okay? And it's a little bit bigger than your body text, but it's not bigger than your headline. Then you have your byline, that's who wrote the article. The lead is usually the first 2 paragraphs, a little bit longer than the rest of the paragraphs. Let's see. And then the folio line, that's always down at the bottom of the magazine. And that is the name of the magazine, the month and the year, and then the page number. And I'm going to show you how to set up that folio line on the master page. And master pages in InDesign are whatever you put on those master pages shows up on every page that you create. So with a magazine, you're always going to have a page number. Not all pages have page numbers, but most pages do have that folio line. And then the caption, that has to do with the image. So who's in the image? It's usually who, what, when, where, and why. So it tells you what the image is about. Some captions are longer than others. Some are just, say, a coffee cup on a table. Okay, so you can make that up. It doesn't have to be long captions. And then you also have to have the photo credit. If you don't know who took the picture, just put courtesy photo, or make somebody's name, make a name up. You can put your own name in there if you want. Okay. And then this is some more information. A pull quote is 1 or 2 lines of text from the article that the particular person writing the article thinks should stand out. And again, it's just 1 or 2 lines from the text that you're going to set in a bigger font and arrange it somehow into the layout. These are subheads, again, to break up the text so that if you're done talking about one subject or something in the article, you start off the next subject and you add a subhead. And that's usually just a little bit bigger maybe than the body text, or it could be just bold so it stands out. Let's see what else here. Okay, so this is the grid, this part here where you see the 3 columns. That helps, arrange the text and elements on the page, but it also helps break up the text too, so it's not all just one blob on the page. Okay, and then this just talks a little bit about some more stuff with typography. Which we kind of went over already. The main thing is to pay attention to the leading, the lines between the lines between the text. You don't want them too close together because the lines of text will blend into each other like this here. These are too close. This is gives your eye a little bit of resting there. Okay. And this is also on the magazine article assignment page. I added it here, anatomy of a magazine article. So if you want to look over it again in more detail, I have it included there as well. Okay. So any questions on that part? Yes, no. Okay. All right, so then the final part of the assignment is the 3-page article. Below are some suggestions for topics, but the article should fit the theme genre of your magazine. You're going to use an existing article and corresponding photos for your layout. You do not have to type the text. I don't want to see anything from Wikipedia, because Wikipedia is a community-based thing and people put whatever they want in there. And I can tell that you've taken it from Wikipedia if I see the little 2, 3 links and that kind of stuff. Okay, so don't use anything from Wikipedia. Okay, so again, this has to pertain to the theme of your magazine, whatever type of magazine you're creating. But these are some examples of articles or topics. A place to visit, city, state, country, a product review, a person, a historical event, a how-to article, an art style, sports, fashion, entertainment, politics, health, science, technology, product, place, person, art. Okay, but it should pertain again to whatever your magazine is. And then I've also included some layout thumbnail examples on here. Okay, so it's basically placement of images and text.
Is that considered, like, to say one, is that considered 2-page or one?
That would be the 2 spreads, 2 pages next to each other. Yeah. So these 2 would be the 2 pages next to each other. This one you could kind of think of it as two pages, 2 separate pages. But when the image goes across both pages, then that's the spread. Okay. I think there's examples here. Yeah, this one here would be 2 separate pages. The image doesn't go across, the headline doesn't go across 2 pages. But when you're doing your thumbnails, kind of explore both of them. So you can see, you may have an image that you want to go across both pages, and then on the 3rd page, you have most of the article. Okay. Trying to see if there's an example here. But these are more examples for 2 pages next to each other, but I'll show you how to set it up where you can have 1 page and then the 2 pages together, or 2 pages and then the 3rd page is separate. And it's just a matter of changing your page number setup. Okay, so there's the examples, thumbnail examples. These are the specifications. You must use a minimum of 500 words. Okay, again, you're not typing any of this stuff up. You can grab it from different articles. If you're grabbing it from different articles, it should make sense. So if you found 2 different articles on 2 different websites or whatever it may be, they need to make sense. They need to mesh together. Okay. You must use a minimum of 3 images. Convert the images to CMYK or grayscale in Photoshop and save as Photoshop documents. You can use the images from the article. A lot of times now it's hard to get the images directly from the article. They've either blocked it so you can't download them, but you can always go into Adobe Stock and find images if they're just generic images. You can do a search on Google. If you're doing an article on a specific person, you can usually find images of them there. Text wrap, at least one of your images should contain a text wrap. I've included the instructions here for the text wrap, but I will go over that again on the article. But these are the instructions for it. Captions and credits. Your photos should include captions and photo credits. If there is no photo credit, use courtesy photo. Again, you can make all that up. Most images online, that are associated with an article have a caption. But if they don't, just make something up. A headline and a deck or a kicker. Body text. Article text, the font should be no larger than 12 points. If you have room, add more text or increase the size of your graphics and images. Your images can be photographs, or it can be illustrations, whatever you want to include in it. Byline, who wrote the article. A pull quote is an important quote, text from the article set in a larger font. The folio line, which is the name of the magazine, date, month, year, and page number. This will be added to the master page of the InDesign document. And I included a PDF of, it should open up here, how to do the master page, what a master page is, and how to create it. And I will go over this, but this is just instructions on it. Do that. And then I have the anatomy of a magazine article, which I went over. Parts of an article, that was the same thing. I have to take that out. Sorry. It's supposed to be that. Maybe remove that. No, I'll leave that there. That's the same thing that I wanted to, that I was showing. Sorry. Confusing myself here. Okay, and then the page layout are the InDesign document settings, 10¼ by 13. Number of pages 3. Columns is six columns. 1/4 inch margins all the way around, and 1/8 of an inch for the bleed. And again, the bleed is where the image goes all the way to the edge of the page. And then there's another example of a layout. Of 2 pages, a spread next to each other. You have the headline, the kicker, the byline, the photo credits. You have some images. You have the captions underneath the images. And then you have the drop caps. And it's usually just to signify change in topic. And then you have the folio line down at the bottom, name of the magazine, month and year. It's missing the page number on there. Okay, so any questions? I know that's a lot that I just went over, but any questions on any of that? No? Okay. All right. And then there was one other thing I wanted to show you over here in Acrobat. Okay, so this is just another grid structure, kind of what I showed you, those thumbnail examples that were there. Your thumbnails should just be quick sketches, boxes where you're going to put your images, scribbly lines where you're going to put your text. And then these are 3-column spreads versus 6 columns. Again, you don't have to stuff everything in one column. It should, go across 2 columns. If you're doing like the images, your text can flow across 2 columns, 3 columns. Even so, you're setting up your document as a 6-column spread. You can just set it up as 2 or 3 columns, and I'll show that in InDesign too. Okay. All right, so let me open up InDesign. I'm going to go over doing the setup of the documents. And then on the article document, I'm going to go over that 3-column, 6-column concept as well. Okay, so in InDesign, you're going to make sure that you change your units to inches. And all of your pages for the assignment are going to be 10 1/4 by 13. And I'm setting up, right now I'm setting up the article document, because there's a couple things that I want to stress with this. If you're doing when you're doing the 3-page article, on how to set it up where you have 2 pages together and then the 3rd page separate, or 1 page and then the 2 pages. Okay. It kind of doesn't make sense until you see the actual layout of it. Okay. So I'm going to do 3 pages. I'm going to make sure that it's facing pages is checked. This right here is how you determine how your document starts. If you're going to do 1 page and then the 2 pages together, or 2 pages and then a 3rd page separate. Okay. So the way I'm going to set this up first is I'm going to have 1 page by itself, and then page 2 and 3 are going to be the spread. I'm going to do 6 columns. Margins are going to be 0.25. And remember, if this little check mark here is, hold on, I don't know that I have this shared, sorry. For those of you at home, I apologize, I have to share it in InDesign. Hold on. Okay, so let me go over that again. So 10 1/4 by 13, 3 pages. Start page number for this particular example is going to be 1. You're going to do your 6 columns. And then your margins are going to be 1/4 inch all the way around. And then your bleed is 0.125. And even if you don't extend your images to the edge, I want you to add the bleed on there. And then you're not going to worry about the slug. We're not worrying about that. That just is where the page information goes when you export it as a PDF. But we're not going to worry about the slug at this point. Okay, and then I'm going to click preview. Okay, so there's page 1 by itself. And then I'm going to come back over here. I'm not going to click create yet. I just want to show you the difference between the 2 options. right here where it says start page number, I'm going to change that to 2. And now you see I have 2 pages next to each other. And then page 3 is by itself. So that's how you're going to determine how you want your article to start. If you want the article to start on the right-hand side of the magazine, and then when they flip the page, 2 and 3 of the article appears next to each other, this is how you're going to set it up this way with start page number of 1. Okay. So when you look at a magazine, you have your left and your right pages. If you set this up this way, this is a right-hand page. Okay. Odd numbers are on the right-hand side, even numbers are on the left-hand side. So when you're looking at an article, this would be the first page of the article. Okay. If I was to set it up as the start page number of 2, then this would be like the middle spread of a magazine or a newspaper. And page 3 is usually continued somewhere in the back of the magazine, not necessarily right next to the article. Okay. And that usually just because there's not a lot of information on that 3rd page. The meat of the bulk of the article is on page 2 and 3. Yeah.
Be separating the 2 pages from the 1 advertisements or
other articles, advertisement. It may be like 6 or 7 pages back, but there's probably like 5 or 6 ads or some other articles. And that's usually just determined by the editor of the magazine. They're thinking that the bulk of the article is important on these 2 pages. And then the 3rd page is kind of just like some other little minor information on the back. Okay. But yeah, there's either other articles or advertisements that separate the 2. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and create this one. And then I will create the other one. Okay, so let me tile this here. Yes. Yeah, I'm gonna do, let me zoom out on this one here so you can see both of them. Right, 1 page, yeah, yeah. Yeah, that would be the first part of the article that maybe just has an image and a little bit of text. And then you're forcing them to go to page 2 and 3 to read the rest of the article, leading to that. The one on the right-hand side, sorry, this one here would be the bulk of the article here. And then this page here by itself would probably be somewhere in the back of the magazine. But you're designing it as if they're together, but think in your head, okay, maybe on this page here, it's not that important. And I'm putting it, we're gonna have to put it in the back of the magazine, okay? No, he's not. The one on the left?
Yes. The cover letter, table contents on the back of that.
No, so it would be, you mean as far as setting it up or in
like the first page, like the cover and the table contents are on the first page.
Right, and then this would probably, there were probably maybe 6 or 8 ads in between there, and then this could maybe be the first article in the magazine, and then as soon as you flip that page, the rest of the article appears. Okay. I know it's kind of hard to.
I'm like trying to figure out where these pages are.
You're just thinking of it as anywhere in the magazine, but this one here, The one on the right-hand side, would you kind of think of that as the middle spread of the magazine? That would be probably the main article, whatever your on your cover, whatever your main article is. Yeah. Okay. Yes, Michael. Yeah.
I can make it split like that, and it's gonna be like 6 pages in total.
It will be table of contents and the cover, and then 3-page article, so it's 5 pages. Okay, but you're doing them all as separate documents. Okay, because I want you to design each of them independently, but they should also be consistent with the way you're designing the text and everything. Okay.
I just put the window.
Oh, under the window menu, arrange, and then you have the different tile options up at the top. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Make sure on the left side, first one is going to be the part of the article, and then this one is going to be the table of contents.
No, this is just the layout for the article. Okay, for the 3 pages. So you're going to create a separate document for the table of contents and a separate document for the cover itself. This is just the 2 layout options for the Okay, and let me go back over here, make sure. And I'll add in here in the article instructions about that start page number. But just when you're creating your new document, right here where it says start number, that's where you're going to change it between page 1 as your start page number or page 2. Okay, and that's going to how it's going to force it to be a spread versus a single page as your first page. Okay, and then the other thing that I mentioned, let me untile this here so I can. So I had mentioned on the article, you're creating a 6-column layout on the document, but your text doesn't have to fit exactly in those 6 columns. Okay, let me go back over here to so this is an example here. In theory, this is a 6-column layout, but you don't see the columns because they're invisible, they don't print. It's actually only a 2-column layout, 3-column. Okay. So you have the image goes across 3 columns. This text spans 2 columns. That image up there is only 1 column, and then this is 1 column. Okay. So you're placing your text and your images accordingly, but they don't have to fit, push them in those 8 columns. Okay, so they can span across the different columns. Yeah.
Where it says experiences, and then this other one on the other side, are those each in their own columns, or are they just on this?
They're just on the side. So this would be your photo credits, and then that would be like the department or section or whatever it is. Okay. Okay, so for those of you at home, I went up to the projector to explain this, but on this particular layout that I have up here on the screen, this in theory is a 6-column layout, but the way that this particular person designed this article, this would be 2 columns here, this would be 1 column, this would be 3 columns, and then this would be 1 column. So again, you're not sticking everything in 1 column per se, like the layout. It can span across those different columns, okay? Okay, so I'm just going to use placeholder text to kind of visually show you how you would set that one up. I'm going to kind of replicate this just with squares and placeholder text. So on this page here, you're going to take your type tool and you're going to click and drag and you're going to make your text frame the width and the height that you want it to be. And then I'm just going to insert placeholder text. So if you don't quite have all your text yet, and you want to kind of see how things are going to lay out with text and images, if you want to do your thumbnails here in InDesign, you can do that. Under the type menu, you can go to fill with placeholder text. And it's just going to put text in there, fill it in, the width and the height of that text frame that you created. Okay. And then I'm just going to take a box, and this is going to be one of my images. Another image here. And maybe an image here. And then that's going to be text. And then that would be text as well. Okay, so I just created a quick thumbnail sketch in InDesign using text and boxes for my place where I'm going to place it. You can, or you can just do it on paper, whichever is, so you can get more ideas quicker down on the paper and then kind of translate it to InDesign. Okay. Okay, so does that make sense about whether you have a 6-column layout and how you can arrange it so it's based on 2 or 3 columns, not all 6 columns? Okay. All right, let me go back over here to Canvas and make sure I went over everything. Okay. All right. The other thing I want to show is how to add to work on the master pages. And then that'll be it for the lecture at that point. Okay. So let me reset this here. So InDesign has a pages panel. That shows you where all of your pages, all the pages that you have in your document and how you can navigate between them. Up at the very top of your pages panel is a section that says none, and then A and parent. They've changed it a little bit from previous versions. Can't remember off the top of my head what it was, but this is your master page options up here at the top. You can have as many master pages as you want. because different layouts, you can do different layouts for your master pages. You may have your elements that you want to appear on every page in different places. So if you think of the, let me see if this one has it. Let me see if here. Just trying to give you an idea of how. Okay, so the Better Homes and Gardens, they have different like headlines or headers for different sections. The artwork or the text may be, the design of the text and the artwork may be the same, but what's actually written in there might be different. So you might want to include this particular element here on every page that has to do with that section of the magazine. So you can see here, this is the same as this up here. So that's going to appear on every page of that section in the same place, same thing. So whatever you put on your master page is going to appear on every page of the document. So again, up here in the top part of your pages is your master pages. So if I double click on that, that's going to open up 2 blank pages in your document. So for example, if I put a square here and fill that with red, put another square over here and fill that with green. Now, if I go back over to my pages, and let me make this. You can see over here in my pages panel that that green square that I drew on the right-hand side appears here, and the red square that I drew on the left-hand side appears here. If I move this down, you can see it's changing over here. If I move this up, it's changing over here on my actual pages. If I go back and double click on my page 2 and 3, they are there on that page. If I add more pages, so I say I add 10 pages, all of the pages have that same element on it. Okay. So whatever you design on the master pages is going to appear on each page. Please don't design your article on the master page. Okay. That is only for this particular assignment is your folio line, which is the name of the magazine, the month and year, and then the page number. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to set that up, the page number and the folio line. Okay, so you're going to take your type tool and you're going to click and drag and make a text frame. And I usually do it the width of the page. You can, make it however big you want. Just make sure that there's enough room in there for the information that you're going to add. Okay, so to insert your page number so that it automatically numbers the pages, no matter how many pages you have, you're going to go under the type menu, special character, insert special character, markers, current page number. And what that's going to do is it's going to add a little A, because that is your A master page. If I had multiple master pages, then it would be B, C, D, go all the way down the alphabet. Okay, but you're going to get a little tiny A there, and then I'm going to type coffee roasters. That's going to be whatever the name of my magazine is. Okay, so it's your page number, name of your magazine, and then the month and year of the magazine. Then you can format all of this. You're going to format that text however you want. You can add color to it. You can center it. But in theory, the page numbers usually appear in the bottom right and left corners of the page. Okay. Sometimes they'll be in the middle, but in theory, they're usually on the left and right bottom corners. Okay. So I've already formatted that one how I want it. I'm just going to copy it and paste it on the other side. And then I'm going to switch back over to my pages panel. And you can see on the bottom of that page 1, it says 1 and then the name of the magazine and then the month and the year. If I scroll down through all of the pages, it's automatically numbered them how many ever pages I have. Okay. If you don't like the position of any of that, just go back to your master page and then adjust it wherever you want it to go. So you can do left aligned. You could do, if you want to separate the page number so that the page number stays on the bottom corner. So you could just do your page number there, and then the rest of the information about the magazine in the middle. Okay, so it doesn't matter how you design that, just as long as you have the page number, the magazine name, and the month and the year of the magazine. Okay, and that is on the master page up here, or the parent page up at the top. So you double click on that, and it takes you to the master pages. If you want to go back to your regular page, you're going to double click on that, and it'll take you back to your regular page. Okay. Does anybody need me to show you again how to add the page number? Okay. Okay. Yes. As far as
I've heard that if you throw the master page first, everything will change.
the master page is only where you're going to add your page number, magazine name, and month and year. So that's all you're putting on the master page for this assignment.
Okay.
So as you add pages to your document, it's going to continue to, the page numbers are going to change automatically. Okay, that's what I was talking about, changing automatically. Okay. All right, so on the master page or the parent page, you're going to take your type tool, click and drag and create a text frame. Under the type menu, insert special character, symbols, or sorry, markers. So insert special character, markers, and then current page number. Let me take a screenshot of that. Okay. And it's going to add a little A, a letter A, letting you know that it's corresponding with that master page. And then you can format this however you want. And usually the page numbers aren't that big, but you can make it whatever size you want. But they just kind of make sure that they don't intrude into your layout of what you're doing. Okay. They can be placed below that margin line here. Okay. They don't have to stay, stay with inside the margin. That purple line or pink line here, it can go below that so that it'll pretty much stay out of the way of your article or your elements. But you can put it, you know, put it wherever you want on the page. Okay.
Thank you.
Uh-huh. And let me double check over here. Yeah, on that PDF that's in the talking about the master page right here, it explains everything that I went over. How to insert the page number and everything. And it's going to look a little different because it's an older version of InDesign, but it's still the same basic concept. Okay. Okay, so any other questions, concerns? Okay. Right.
happened in the mood board was supposed to submit the design the cover. Design for the cover.
I didn't make a thing for the thumbnails. So let me do that. So thumbnail, submit the thumbnails for all 3 pieces, and then you can start working on the yeah. Whichever we want you to start on is fine.
Okay, and so because the thumbnails you want to know what the 3 pages is gonna look like.
Right.
So just to clarify, the 3 pages. Let's say if I'm doing the spread, that's considered 2 or.
That would be the 3 pages of the article. So you have 2 pages together or 1 separate. So that's the 3-page article. Then you're having 1 separate document for cover and 1 separate document for the table of contents.
So that's 3 pages. That would be the 3 pages. No?
That would be 5 pages total. So you have 3 for the article, table of contents, and.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But you're doing 3 separate documents.
Right. Right.
For it. So it's 5 pages total that you're submitting.
But you don't have to do a spread though, right?
You can do 3 separate articles. You can do however you want to do it, but it needs to be within those 3 pages of an article.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Hello.
Okay, this man. She's got this. And at first they said 540, so I'm like, cool. But then they said 240. I said, and they said minutes. So I said, and so I had to pick them up. And then we have to go over there. But my agent is on cruise. She's on the East Coast. So the time changed over there. She said, oh my God, something like, I'm glad I would have been in there. Like, Yes, I submitted it. The next thing to submit is a
thumbnail.
but you didn't create.
I'm gonna do it right now.
Okay, so I should be able to submit it today anyway. But I have so many I have a couple of ideas. So that's what I'm trying to understand it a little bit further. Because I was like, oh, I can do an article on how to this is fashion. So like how to wear like one outfit different ways. I was thinking like that. I was thinking about a dress up and dress down.
Right.
And then when I think of like a spread, I think about like it being on a person. So it's like I don't know.
Well, let's see. Well, kind of if you look at this one here.
I'm thinking about going to Barnes and Nobles to get some ideas.
Okay,
like,
yeah.
I'm gonna do that too.
But this is like shop, so it's more.
Oh, and this is the spread.
Well, it's 2 pages. Yeah, it would be 2 pages next to each other because the way it's in here. Actually, it's not 2 pages together. Well, yeah, 26, 27. Yeah, so it would be 2. The way it's set up here, it's not showing it right.
Yeah.
But because you can see the way the vase.
Yeah, it will be on the
other
page.
side.
Yeah. Okay.
So it is 2 pages together. Okay.
Okay.
But
so I can do like the where on one page. Like I can have like on this page, it will be, let's say it's like 2, right? This page will be just the pieces, and then have the models
right
dressed different ways.
Right.
And then the third page would be
where to buy the stuff, how to whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. And right. And okay, how would the third page look if you have it like that?
Okay, so think of this as this would be the right-hand page. No, this would be the left-hand page.
Okay.
No, this would be right-hand. I don't get it confused.
Okay. As you said, which one is even? Which one is odd?
Even is always on the left. And odds are on the right. Okay.
So this
would be the left side, right? And then as you go down to the next 2 pages, you have those 2 together. Well, actually not because of the page numbers.
And this will be the other one though.
Right. So the way this is falling on here, it doesn't look right. So let me take that off the single page. Okay, so this would be 34 and 35 would be together.
Yeah.
And then 36 would be separate. So you could, see how the images, the images go across.
I can get it though. Yeah,
because the images go across, right?
Yeah. Oh, and they put something on the edge.
And the edge, and then on this one would be all the information.
Okay. Yeah, they have like the palette, happy color. Or a picture of like the designers. Okay. And then like what's in here, and then
more continuing of the text.
Okay.
So yeah, you could put where you could buy the clothes or whatever.
Right. Okay. And that will be that will be considered 3 pages.
Right. And then you have your cover separate, and then your table of contents.
Okay.
So whatever's on your cover should be in your table of contents, but designed more so like that.
Oh, okay. It's funny. I was thinking about doing May. I'm gonna do May because it's spring. Right.
So you'll have a large image, a little bit of text, and then but you're only doing 1 table of contents. So you could do something like this, or you could do something more like that.
Yeah, I always for some reason something like this, or even like one, like something in the background, and then the text. I thought for some reason I know I've seen it before like that too, and I'm familiar with this type too. I'm glad you have we have these examples.
There is a website. I put it on here. Where did I put it here?
Did we have to include the font and colors in the mood board?
If you already had that in mind, yeah, you can go back and it's more for you.
Yeah, because I was thinking about keeping the same from, because again, it gave me the urban and but then again, the princess one is probably too much. I'll go back and I'll look at that.
On the principles of magazine design, here's the website, and this has all kinds of magazines that you can download.
That's cool.
So you don't necessarily have to go to Garden.
Yeah, I wasn't gonna buy it. I was gonna sit there.
Yeah, but you can look at if you feel more comfortable looking at on here, and it's just a variety of magazines.
Awesome.
And then up here at the top is the different genres, and then variety. There's fashion magazines.
Awesome, yeah.
I don't know what they're necessarily, their lifestyle fashion. Yeah. Okay, so it'll give you an idea of like a cover. You can download them. You download them to your computer. You can't really read them here. Yeah. But yeah, that's what I. Okay.
Okay.
So just look through those magazines and give you kind of an idea.
Ideas. Yeah. Okay. I don't know, like when he was talking, the ideas came up. I was like, oh, wow, that'd be cool. But idea, but then to articulate them is
two different things. Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
And if you find a layout in one of the magazines that you like and you want to recreate it, do that.
Okay. Okay.
There's nothing wrong with copying it because you're learning
how
they did it.
How to do it. Yeah. And I feel like the way you set up the columns kind of makes it more visual for me too, as far as like how to lay it out. So okay. So so the next thing is just a thumbnail. And then
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Okay, I'm gonna get ready.
Okay. That's fine.
Thank you.
Okay, I included a where you can upload your thumbnails for the magazine design for the 3 different elements or different sections. All right. See you next week. Good luck. a good weekend. Thank you. Have a good weekend. However you want to do it. If it's easier for you to do it on paper, or you want whichever way you want to do it. Yeah. You too. Thank you. Bless you. Have a good weekend.